Welcome to Journal Entries. I'm Samantha Hawley, and I work with successful women in business and leadership who are making six figures and tired of their work stress bleeding into their home life. I specialize in the ripple effect, helping you regulate your nervous system so that you can be focused and fulfilled in your career and patient and present at home. If you're ready to leave work at work and choose presence over performance, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome to today's journal entry. I got a text, and now it was a month, maybe 2 months ago. But this text made me smile so big, and I immediately shared it on my social media. And then I shared it in my newsletter like the following week. And so if you're on my newsletter, you already know about what I'm about to share. But this text was from my client, and it was a screenshot of her Oura Ring, which I actually did not know what an Oura Ring was before this. So if you're like me, an Oura Ring is a ring. It's kind of like a fitness tracker, or I shouldn't say fitness, a wellness tracker that you wear as a ring, but it tracks your movement and steps. But I think a lot of people get it because it tracks your sleep really well and your stress really well. And so my client sent it to me because she was sharing her daytime stress levels. And what she found kind of shocking was that during the 1 hour of our call the day before, her stress was the lowest that it had been all day. And she had said, "Look at my stress level from 5 to 6 p.m. yesterday," with like 5 exclamation points. And she said, "Haha, I just got the Oura Ring. I thought that was so cool to see." And so I'm like zooming in right now on her screenshot, and there's different levels that you can have for stress, I guess. And it says stressed, engaged, relaxed, or restored. Restored is like the very lowest. And yeah, during our 1 hour coaching call, it was completely dropped. Her stress level dropped into restored. And that was the lowest all day. And what I think is the coolest part is that on our coaching calls, we don't do like meditations or breathing exercises and visualizations. It's not this like fluff. And you guys know that I journal a lot. It's not like we never journal gratitude. You probably know by now that is not the type of journaling that I do. So it's not this like fluffy feel good stuff. And on that call in particular, we were strategizing her company policies because she's trying to simplify her company. She is the CFO. And then we were also big project that she's working on is unifying her entire team and hiring and all of this. And so we were talking about that and removing the overwhelm behind all of it and discovering blind spots so that she could create more space in her workday. A big thing for her is that she loves high-level projects and she loves working on them, but she feels like she literally has zero time for it because she spends all her day putting out fires or doing tasks that just have to get done that prevent her from doing these project type stuff. So anyways, we were talking about that stuff, like kind of stressful stuff, if you will, yet her stress dropped. To me, that says that her nervous system was literally regulating and regulated while we were talking business strategy and while we were bringing up these like tough topics. And she's not the only one, because I told you right after I got that screenshot, I was like, what? This is amazing that there's actual tangible scientific proof of our work. And so I shared it on my Instagram. And then another past client replied to my Instagram story and she said, "I can confirm that when we had our journaling sessions, my stress would also be reduced." 3 exclamation points. That's a fact. More exclamation points. So it's, to me, just incredible. And it's the difference. Here's the key of like why I'm making this into a whole podcast episode. It's the difference between managing your stress and eliminating it at the source. And there's 2 different approaches. The first approach that I truly think at least 90% of people, but definitely the ambitious women of the world, the go-getters, the goal setters, those people, those women, add more onto your plate. You feel overwhelmed and you think, okay, I need to download the Calm app to start meditating. I need to just bump up my self-care. I should finally take that yoga class that I've been telling my friend that I would do with her. I need more me time. I should try that productivity hack that I keep seeing on Instagram, right? You keep adding more onto your plate, thinking that if you'll just get ahead of the overwhelm. Even like if you just do more at work, if you stay a little bit later at work or answer one more email, then you'll get ahead of it. And then you won't be so overwhelmed when you go home later that night, right? And so we just keep doing more and more. And I want to say that that's what I used to do, which is why I can relate to everybody. And that's what I used to do, especially when I was in my Beachbody days, when I was doing network marketing. That was my go-to. And even when towards the end, when I really wasn't working my Beachbody business at all, and also Beachbody was just kind of the network marketing portion of it was tanking. It was just going down, and I was going through my divorce, solo parenting full time. I was just going through it a few years ago. I was just trying everything. I was going to weekly therapy sessions. I was doing bubble baths. I remember on a weekly basis, I was going to Target and I was getting these bath bombs that once they were done fizzing in the bath, they had these tiny rubber like figurines in the middle of them. And they would bring me so much joy. And I saved my first one that I ever had. It was when I was still married, I think. Yeah, I think I was still married at the time. But anyways, it was a pink unicorn. And to me, it represented like when I finally started prioritizing myself. But anyways, I would do like all those bubble baths. And that was when Griffin was actually going to bed at 7 p.m. And every like stress management tool in the book, there's just so many things. And I still felt disconnected from myself, from my business, from people in my life, and I felt overwhelmed. And what actually changed my mindset, my energy, my busyness, and my business, about all of it, was two things. Well, three, if you count not doing more. So that's the first thing. It's like, stop doing more. And the two actual things. Number one is tune into your emotions. How are you actually feeling? Dig into the problems. That's what I'm doing on my journaling sessions with not just the two women who can report reduced stress levels, in fact, feeling actually restored on our calls. We're digging into the hard stuff. I think a lot of people ignore the hard problems in their life when they're not actually dealing with it because they think, why would I want to bring that up in my little free time? Because then I'm just going to feel the tough stuff again. And I don't want to do that, right? I'll save that for when, if you're going through partner struggles, then I'll save that for when my partner's actually here. Or if you're going through work struggles, I'll save that for when I'm actually at work. But processing that in an off time gives you so much clarity, and it allows that emotion to move through you and to lessen, and it truly will make you less stressed and less overwhelmed. So dig into the problems and those big emotions. And then the second thing wasn't just getting help, it was getting the right kind of strategic support that I needed in that season. And it was the support that helped me see what I couldn't see in myself and in my daily routines and habits. And that's like what I do now for my clients. And I'll give you an example. So I hired my first business coach, unrelated, but I just think it's shocking to share. I hired her for $2,500 a month. Crazy. I don't even know that I had the budget for it at that point, because my Beachbody income was tanking at that point and I was like going through the divorce. That was the time that I hired her. But I just kind of felt like I was drowning and I had such a huge vision for my life, and I wanted somebody else to see that vision for me and hold that vision for me and keep me focused in guiding me towards that vision. So I guess I was more so investing in that vision. And I feel like there's really two, this is getting off topic, but there's really two types of fear that we feel like in our gut. The first one is when we are given an opportunity, like hiring a coach for $2,500 a month, or an opportunity to go do something or whatever, even like dating, this is for everything. And then you feel that gut reaction, and it's a hard, like the fear of like, no, this is not for you. Don't do that. Don't invest in it. Don't date that person. Don't do it. But then there's another type of fear that if you really listen, instead of no, don't do this, it's more so the excitement, and it feels like a roller coaster. And I am terrified of roller coasters. So maybe that's why this analogy works for me. But it's more so the fear of being on a roller coaster and you're going up the very beginning of the roller coaster. Mind you, I start screaming at this point on a roller coaster before we even go down any of the hills. But anyways, if the fear of like going up a roller coaster and you're about to go down and then go up and go over some flips, and it's that excitement and fear and hope. And that is the type of fear that you can lean into. And that's what I felt with the business coach. It was terrifying, but necessary. And I realized once I started that coaching that my overwhelm went down, and that when I was constantly making decisions from overwhelm, which I was, your nervous system never gets a break. But then when you have the clarity on what's actually happening and what you're actually feeling, you then get a clear path forward. And your body finally exhales. That's when I initially came up with my Calm Mind Blueprint based on how I was journaling. My Calm Mind Blueprint, it's my free resource. I'll put it in the show notes. But it's my 5 prompts of how I was prompting myself through that challenging time, from the awareness to the awareness phase of like how overwhelming life was and how chaotic and how I was feeling, to understanding the root beneath it and the beliefs, to understanding the clarity of, okay, well, what is it that I want? I didn't go from this is how I'm feeling, this is the problem, to immediate problem solving, which is another thing that a lot of ambitious women do. We immediately want to fix. You have to take the time to dig into those emotions first and understand them, and understand the judgments and expectations and standards that you're holding yourself to in between there, then get to the clarity. And then from there, create your direction, your action steps, your micro steps from there. So that is where I came up with that free blueprint, which is how I got out of that hole. I pulled myself out of that hole one day at a time, not every day, but any day that I journaled, I just kind of followed that. Sorry, I'm going off on so many tangents, but I'm hoping that whoever's listening to this needs a little bit or piece or all of what I'm sharing. So step number 1, stop doing so much. Step number 2 is to dig into these emotions. Feel free to download my Calm Mind Blueprint. And step number 3 is to get the strategic support that you need, not just any support, but know what season of life are you in and what type of strategic support will actually help you get there. Maybe you've had that type of support before and you can circle back because you know how it felt. Maybe you've never had that type of support and you're on that roller coaster and that's what feels kind of scary. But what will help you commit to doing all of these things, because it's also scary to tap into those problems and the big emotions. But what always helps me do the hard thing is knowing what's on the other side. Like, would you actually dig into those emotions and invest in whatever support it is that you need if you knew that the results, the end of it all, would mean that you would be able to make decisions from a calm, confident place instead of reactive overwhelm? Or it would mean that you would stop spinning your wheels on self-doubt and spiraling all the time. Or that you would actually enjoy your career again and your leadership role instead of just surviving it. Or that you would come home patient and present and ready to connect instead of already burnt out and disconnected. Or all of it. All of those things could happen. So, in a nutshell, your stress isn't a scheduling problem. It's a nervous system problem. And your nervous system doesn't regulate by adding more to your plate. I hope that the tips that I've shared with you today and the resources that I've shared will help. I know that they'll help. So definitely tap into those. And if you need more support, I have created the Breakthrough Intensive specifically for this. It is just a 90-minute session, just one. It's just you and me, and we will dig into what's keeping you stuck in overwhelm and stress and this loop that you're currently in. And again, we're not doing surface level goal setting or vision boarding or gratitude. We're identifying your specific depletion patterns, the beliefs driving your decisions and your stress levels, and then creating a clear path forward so that you don't need to work harder to feel more peace. We're going to journal through it strategically. I'm going to give you coaching through it the entire time, obviously. And you're going to leave with what I've been sharing this whole time, which is less stress, feeling restored, and clarity and direction on what needs to shift, not more to-dos. We're not going to be adding more to your plate. So if you feel like you've been operating at a 7, 8, 9, even 10 stress level, and you have been for months, maybe even years, your body is screaming for this work. Your nervous system is like, hire Sam for this 90 minutes. You deserve it. I do have a few more spaces, dates available before the holidays hit. So if this landed for you, please, please, please click the link in the show notes just to check out more details. I would love to chat with you. All right, I will catch you on Thursday with a journaling session. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me for today's journal entry. If something resonated with you, I'd love to know about it. Screenshot this episode, share it on social media, and tag me at samantha.s.says. Or even leave a review, which will help more women find this podcast to create more fulfillment in their career and as a mom. And hey, if you're thinking, I wish I could get more of this, I've got you covered. Click on the link in the show notes, which I customize each week based on what we're talking about. And I always include the link to the Calm Mind Blueprint, which are my 5 journal prompts to go from overwhelm to inner peace in 2 to 10 minutes a day. Subscribe so that you catch my Thursday 5-minute journal with me episodes and next week's full episode where we will continue this journey together. I'll see you then.